Hello, hello, hello. Test. Okay, great. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me well? Don't touch. Okay, don't touch it. Sorry. Yep, I'm Tincho. I'm a security researcher at the Red Guild. Um, the Red Guild is essentially a small security organization coming from Latin America, where we do security and education for the public benefit of the Ethereum ecosystem. That essentially means that we work with grants from the Ethereum Foundation, and we try to provide educational resources, research, and raising awareness in the community so that we all stay a little bit safer, right? These days, we are working on this intersection between Web 2 and Web 3. We are kind of believers in that security must come from many sides, and it's not necessarily only about Web3 stuff, like the usual smart contract security stuff, but actually there are lots of things that we can learn from Web2 that we should be implementing in Web3 as well. Some initiatives that we have in our team, including security research, bug hunting. We contribute to the Security Alliance. If you have ever heard about this non-profit organization led by some citizens, we are contributors to that. We are leading the Security Frameworks initiative in there. We do community engagement, creating events, meetups, particularly in Latin America. And recently we have been working with the Ethereum Foundation, spearheading this initiative called the ETH Rangers, which is giving grants for the community, for individual contributors in the security community that are working in public goods. We also do security tooling. We also do security awareness campaigns in real life events, such as the one that is upcoming for Dev Connect in Argentina. And we do educational resources such as blog posts, videos, and so on and so forth. And particularly today I'm going to be talking about, by the end of the talk, about gamified learning and how we are building a platform to keep you, I don't know, aware of phishing threats and scenarios in the ecosystem. But anyway, attacks are real, right? Scams, social engineering, phishing is a real thing these days in crypto. Only last year, almost $500 million were involved or almost lost in different scams and phishing cases in our ecosystem. So it's really one of the most critical threats that we have these days. SEAL 911, the most common case that they handled was actually phishing of over like 1,000 tickets that they had. And probably you have received an email like this, right? If you are working in crypto or in IT or whatever, you have received an email where you have like this weird sender that is pushing you to do something, and it's probably hiding links, such as this one that is offering you free money. Again, it's hiding a link in a big button that you perhaps end up clicking by mistake. Or perhaps you have received this one, which is kind of a generic body, but has something attached, which probably is malware if you download to your computer. Again, look at the email, but look at the name. These are totally unrelated. And these are like the classic ones, right? But we can get a little bit more sophisticated, such as in this one. This was a recent campaign, a phishing campaign that we saw, in which somebody would invite you to a 15-minute call with somebody supposedly from CrowdStrike. That would take you to a phishing site. In the phishing site, you would actually be downloading a malicious application, supposedly to install an application to join a Zoom call or whatever, but well, that was actually malware. And this is the email that I received from ETH Belgrade. I was preparing this talk, thinking about phishing and phishing scenarios, and actually, sorry, but I didn't know what Moongate was, and I received an email from Moongate, and I didn't see any links, and I was supposed to download something or access a page, and I really don't know what that was. So actually, I moved that to the bin. If you actually see, it's little up there, that's in the bin, and so I kind of lost my ticket, and today I didn't have a ticket. But anyway, I thought that was actually phishing. Phishing also comes in different flavors. Probably you have seen ads. If you use Google, you have seen phishing ads being paid by attackers. If you use X or Twitter or any kind of social media, you have also seen this kind of airdrops on free money and things that they are offering you. And that, of course, is probably coming from bots or that kind of accounts. which could be, let's say, easy for some people to detect, not so easy for not so technical people, but let's say it's easier to detect. But in this case, it's when we have compromised accounts, like legitimate accounts that are compromised, such as CTOs, CEOs, or investors, or pretty, I know, influencers in crypto. Things start becoming a little bit more complicated to understand whether they are actually doing something legitimate or not, such as in this case, or in this case from Rocket Pool, CoinGecko's, I think Vitalik's at some point was compromised, I don't remember. Anyway, social media, again, lots of threats relating to phishing, scams, and that kind of things. We can move on to sites. Let's say you click on a link, you move to a phishing site, and phishing sites are getting more and more sophisticated, particularly with the recent use of AI. It's pretty easy to create these kind of sites. In this case, we have a site that is actually opening a pop-up that looks like a wallet, but that's not a wallet. That's just a fake pop-up that is prompting you to enter a private seed, mnemonic, private key, whatever. And they are trying to mimic the behavior of actual like Ravi or MetaMask or that kind of extensions. Phishing also comes in SMS. In this case, we have a case from Binance in which you would be delivered a verification code. Some kind of representative would be getting in touch with you. They would try to prompt you to call a number at some point. Anyway, different ways of trying to social engineer you, yeah, right? The Zoom call scam is pretty well known these days, sadly, honestly. Somebody would contact you, they will start building rapport with you, they will tell you that they want to interview you, or they want to invest in your company, or they want to hire you, or they want to work for you, and they will set up a call with you. And at some point near the meeting, you won't be able to join that Zoom, or they won't be able to join, and they will actually send you another link to something that looks like Zoom, but it's not actually Zoom. And if you click on that, you would be prompted to download something from a page that really looks like Zoom, but it's not Zoom, and you would actually be downloading an application, and they would actually pound you, and that's game over for you or your local network or your company networks. Another case which SEAL was recently investigating, and they released this advisory, was one scam in which you would join actually a Zoom call. In the Zoom call, for perhaps not so technical people, it could be easier to fall for, in which the attackers would actually prompt you to accept the this remote control feature that Zoom has. They would actually start taking control of your computer, download malware, and so on and so forth. So these are all kind of ways in which you can be social engineered into doing things, such as signing in transactions. You click on a link on a social media, you go to a site, that site has some malicious operation, you end up, or they end up prompting you with a transaction that you may end up signing. That transaction might be a permit signatures. We have seen cases of millions of dollars lost of people just signing permit signatures. Actually, it's one of the most common signatures that people are by mistake signing. If you see like the red bar, that's almost like $100 million lost just in permit signatures. Follow Scam Sniffer. Lots of the screenshots and things that I have today come from them, so big shout out to Scam Sniffer. They are not sponsoring the talk, but actually they do good research for the community, so go follow them. Another one is this, address poisoning. This is a little bit more complicated, and it's just based on the way that block explorers work and show transactions and ways in which attackers can actually pollute transaction histories in block explorers. In this case, 130 million lost just by copying the wrong address. In this case, we have 68 million lost just by copying the wrong address. And if we go to a very simple case, let's say that a friend sends you some Ether. That's the transaction that you see at the bottom. They send you 0.25 Ether. And as soon as that happens, some attacker sends a transaction involving one of those accounts, probably yours. but that with the sender that very much looks like the original sender, right? They mine that address, and the address looks like the one that sent you there. Perhaps you see this transaction history, perhaps you end up copying by mistake because it starts with the same characters, and you just blind copy it and use it to, I don't know, return some Ether or send some Ether later, and well, you end up sending Ether to the wrong account. That not only happens with Ether, but actually with tokens too. In this case, things can get a little bit messier because Block Explorer have a hard time showing tokens transfers, and the way in which they show them, it's okay. So you may have people actually, when you send, let's say, one USDC as a test transaction, then you can have an attacker sending you back some real USDC just to appear on your transaction history. Then they can actually send you some whatever fake token, or they can actually, I don't know why this happens in Block Explorers, but they can actually send you something that looks like the one at the top. It says USDC, that's not USDC. If you go to the address, that's not USDC, but in the metadata of the token, they just wrote USDC, and Block Explorer just show it because I don't know why. So there are different ways in which attackers can actually pollute transaction history. You can end up copying one of those and losing millions. Again, this is not just me telling you, this is things that happen in reality. And if you have ever sent tokens in real life, and you go to your address on the Block Explorer, you will see lots of fake transactions. I mean, real transactions, but fake information in your transaction history. That is very complicated. What else can happen? These days we are seeing lots of impersonation cases. People impersonating recruiters, people impersonating employees, people impersonating interviewers, angel investors, worrying things. If you do just a quick Google search, you will find many cases, so you don't have to believe me. You can go read the latest ones. These are like super worrying. For different reasons, but if you work in crypto or in IT, you have been probably contacted by somebody via Telegram, WhatsApp, Discord, and mostly LinkedIn, from supposedly recruiters that sometimes do and sometimes do not know that are participating in phishing campaigns and social engineering campaigns and this kind of attacks. Essentially, they will try to, I don't know, make you download some code for a coding interview, for example. Hey, here's this GitHub repository. Please, can you take a look, download it to your machine? If you download that to your machine, that's probably compromised with an NPM package, for example, that's malicious. You will run that in your machine. And they can exfiltrate data. They can install whatever they want because NPM, well, you're actually running arbitrary code in your machine. That's happening a lot. Again, the usual attack vector comes through LinkedIn, but could come from other places. This is an actual article wrote by Unit 42, this security research well-known team, where the attack was essentially being contacted by another recruiter. You would download a GitHub repository, you would run it like npm install. After npm install is game over, you're compromised, and they can leak whatever data, they can compromise your whole device. This is another case by SackXPT in which they would prompt you to, again, download supposedly some application, and they would compromise your account. This is a very interesting one because you wouldn't even need to be contacted by a recruiter. In this case, you would be job hunting on the internet. You would go to a job listing site, and you are very eager to get a new job in crypto or whatever. And when you go to that site, you start reading the job post, and they tell you some instructions on how to prepare for the interview. When you go to those instructions, they are telling you to execute this long command on your machine just to, I don't know, be more prepared so that the audio or the video looks better on your machine. You copy that, you execute that on your machine, and again, it's game over. Many other cases, right? Screenshots. Follow Taviano if you don't on Twitter. This is great. again, from very local campaigns to global campaigns, this is actually happening these days. And we have multiple security research teams alerting of this global threat, which is quite worrying. It's not only crypto, but particularly in crypto, I think we are seeing lots of related attacks. Again, more screenshots of these different campaigns. That one supposedly by Google on targeting Brazil. If you see that we have a script that usually comes in a package.json, you would download that, and that node config stuff would actually end up executing code on your machine. The other one that we are seeing right on the right of the screen is from a Python program that you would download. You would need to code some Python code, and that Python code would be, of course, compromised. And we're seeing also lots of NPM packages compromised. So sometimes just by name spoofing, you would end up downloading some malicious package that could have a rat embedded, for example. I could continue, right? So if you go to Twitter, you can continue seeing this kind of cases of, yeah, this is recruiter sent me this code repository, and well. That's about recruiters, but if you have a company, if you have a team, you have probably been approached by somebody that wants to work in your company. So how do you know whether they are legitimate or not? I honestly don't know. Lots of cases of prospect employees that are applying to your company that are actually trying to infiltrate your company and steal data and compromise devices and steal things from you. In this case, out of 10 candidates, just 5 candidates were just lying. There are global campaigns that XBT has been working on and has been uncovering fake candidates, fake job postings, fake resumes, fake contributions in GitHub, even sometimes fake interviews with deepfakes. Very, very complicated. These are global campaigns. You probably know where these are coming from. And again, it's a kind of a global threat to many IT companies. This is not just me saying it, but it's been hitting the headlines of many recent events recently. If you have an open source project, you can be scammed too. You can be attacked too. Contributors these days come in very different ways, again, with AI, LLMs, and that kind of things. Things are getting more sophisticated, more complicated, more difficult to detect. I don't have the solutions for many of these things. But we have seen, again, multiple cases of contributors faking pull requests, sometimes contributing seemingly benign code just by changing a few lines, but that's actually hiding some code that's actually including a backdoor into your repository. We have also seen cases in which they are opening security advisories in your GitHub issues, and that would contain links that would take you to phishing sites sometimes, or again, make you download things. Or put you in contact with attackers. We are also seeing attacks. If you are familiar with GitHub Actions, there are lots of recent and not so recent attack vectors that people can just open a pull request and try to compromise the server in which you are running your custom GitHub Actions if you're not paying enough attention to how they are configured. So that's another threat too, because if that server is within your organization, they can escalate to other places. If you're interested, go look up some research about that because it's quite interesting. And there's also a screenshot over there in which we had a scammer actually contributing real ERCs just to build some reputation in the ecosystem to then be able to escalate and move laterally to other repositories and be able to contribute some, I don't know, malicious code probably. So the question is, what are we doing about this from the Red Guild? Again, many scenarios, many threats. We believe we as a community need to start paying far more attention to these kind of things. AI is going to make things much more complicated to detect. So we are creating the phishing dojo, and this is an educational platform that we launched a couple of months ago. Here you have the link if you want to open it up, if you want to start playing. The phishing dojo is a very nice educational platform in which you will find immersive and very realistic challenges related to phishing, to scams, to many of the cases that I showed you today about emails, about people contacting you, about people trying to build rapport with you to scam you and to make you click on links and download things, about phishing sites in which you will try to detect where you are actually signing good transactions or bad transactions. Just to show you some screenshots, this is kind of an embedded email client that we have in the phishing dojo in which you will have to be clicking on links and be opening these windows. It's all kind of interactive, so you will have to see sometimes the headers of the emails and the raw contents of the emails and see whether that's actually trying to phish you or not. And through kind of these interactive challenges, you will be able to learn and be exposed safely to many of these threats, and hopefully you will learn a thing or two. Many people from big organizations have already kind of started using the phishing dojo. It's free, right? So you can go and just use it. They are embedding it into their training programs just because it's quite useful to have people actually go through real scenarios. In this case, we also have phishing sites that will prompt you to open. That's not MetaMask, that's kind of our own UI, but that very much looks like MetaMask. That's the idea of the phishing dojo, trying to provide you with very lookalike UIs. And in this case, we are showing you different kind of transactions, a permit signature, and I'm not going to spoil you what that is, but that's probably malicious. I don't know. It's for you to tell. So you will have to detect whether that's malicious or not, and then we'll kind of walk you through the explanation for that. And this is not Etherscan. This is actually, again, the phishing dojo, in which we are showing you transaction histories, for example, and you will be able to click on these addresses, and you will be able to explore these transaction histories. You will be able to go to the tokens transfers and explore everything that's going on, so that you can actually understand where there are address poisoning happening in this case or not. We have many more scenarios coming. Many more features coming into the phishing dojo. Again, it's free. I'm not selling you anything. You can go check it out, use it within your teams, use it for your, share it with your peers, with the community. I think it's a very valuable resource that we have these days. It's a public good that we're delivering for the community from the Red Guild. And just because we think that the most critical threat that we have these days in crypto is phishing, is scams. It's not me telling you. Again, we can go back to the start of the talk where I was showing you the actual statistics. So please go to the phishing dojo, play it, share it. If you're very technical, perhaps it's kind of easy for you, but think about like common people, right? Think about HR people in your company or executives or just the layman guy that is just trying to use or starting to use crypto. We need to educate them. We need to raise awareness in how cyber criminals are trying to attack us this day. And again, things are just about to get a little bit more complicated. So stay safe. Don't get wrecked. I have a few minutes left, perhaps, if you want to ask questions or even just share some stories if you have ever been phished or scammed. We're in a safe place. You can share your histories with me. So yeah, that's probably it. Thank you. Comments, questions, stories, worries.
Is it on? Yeah. Thank you for your speech. I just wanted to ask you, have you come across an example where you mentioned scams within NPM packages?
Yes.
So since we're all in AI age, have you come across any example where AI used such packages to suggest to developers to import them into their projects?
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you for the questions. Thank you for attending. So, what I have seen, I don't remember the actual research right now, but what I have seen is that in many cases, AIs hallucinating NPM packages, like inventing NPM packages that don't exist, and attackers realizing about that. So once they see those kind of hallucinations, they actually go and publish malicious packages with those names on the NPM repository, so other people will actually start downloading those.